Well, hello and welcome back, and thanks for coming back. Today, well, we're in downtown Kato Paphos, that's for sure. It's early in January, and we're going to go for a wiggle and a waggle in and around the downtown Kato Paphos promenade and harbour area. But of course, we're in a car because those that follow the channel understand that, well, the new year didn't start that good for Marika and me. Even worse for her father, obviously. He passed away, and it was a bit of a kick in the teeth. You know, it's not something that normally you wake up to on a New Year's Eve morning, but that's what happened, and slowly but surely we're coming to terms with it. Slowly but surely we will get over it, or learn to live with it, shall we say. To give you an update of where we are, Marika is in Tbilisi, as you know, as I've told you. Her father has now made that trip from the lower part of Russia, and he has arrived in Tbilisi, and he is now, as we say, laying in state for people to pay their last respects and have their last words, that sort of thing. And then she has the task of burying her father, which obviously is a very, very difficult thing to do. I've been through it, and I'm sure many of our viewers have as well. And it's not something that anyone ever looks forward to, but of course it is something that we understand that probably we will have to do. It's one of those things. It's coming to us all, as I say. I often joke with Marika, you know, when my day comes, just leave me at the side of the road. I'll be fine. Don't worry. It's not going to bother me. So anyway, that job has been done. It's cost a couple of bob. In fact, it's cost more than a couple of bob. We've probably used 3 or 4 bobs. I don't think I've got any Uncle Bobs left. So, but it's only money, as I say. The view out there today is spectacular. The sea, wow. You know, what can I say? Sean, Dawn, we're not making fun of you. You're now part of the channel. When we talk about the weather, we've got yourselves and, of course, Dave Jono. But it's not windy, Dave. It's not windy at all. It's very calm, very tranquil. Perhaps the perhaps the wind is holding off for Edward's funeral. Perhaps the sun is glistening in that sky for his big send-off. And perhaps it is helping Marika to cope and come to terms with what is going on. But as I keep telling you, she is a soldier. Some people have met her, and some people perhaps follow us on our channel and understand this woman is a fighter. Nothing will get her down, that's for sure. And on top of all that, our daughter Ella, the baby LaBouffe, is with her, and I call her the Rottweiler. Okay, she looks like this beautiful, innocent, lovely young lady, and she is. But you get on the wrong side, she can take your arm and your leg off, that's for sure. If I was you, I'd jump in with a bunch of sharks rather than jump in a pond with her. But she has the nice side as well. Now, the point of this little chat before we're going to drive is to let you know what we're up to and what is going on, and it's also to say thank you for staying with us. Thank you for watching me on my own. I'm shocked that after 3 days we haven't lost all of our subscribers. There's a big bird flying up in the sky. Let's go and have a look, because I do like to see big birds. As you know, there it is, up in the sky, and it's off on its travels, taking those people back home in safety, we hope, and we hope to see you all over again and again and again. So the channel today is all about me driving around. Oh, I've been on a couple of beaches. You never know, I might go on a beach again. But you know what, Sean, Dawn, it's too hot, to be honest. It's much easier driving around in a car with the aircon on. So without any further ado, let's get on with it. Come on, let's go. Let's get the seatbelt on. You digest that view as I mount up and do the legalities of getting the seatbelt on. Then we're going to get into reverse. And the starting point, if you're wondering where we are, well, we're at the water's edge, and we're at the very far end of Rikos Beach. There you go. So, just over yonder, that's the hotels, and that's downtown Kato Paphos, and that's where we're going. And I'll name a few bits and bobs along the way. There we go, a couple of geezers on scooters. I thought it was Marika and me for a moment. There you go. They could be our rivals, you never know. there we are. Although she's not quite as beautiful. Not a bad looking girl, but not quite as beautiful as Miss Ochin Gracivia LaBouffe. And if you're wondering what Ochin Gracivia LaBouffe actually means, if you're new to the channel, well, it means, Ochin means very, Gracivia means beautiful, and LaBouffe means love. So in plain, simple English, it means very beautiful love. She's the love of my life, and I'll never, ever let her go. And she understands that. There we go. It sounds as though I've got her under lock and key. In fact, it's not a bad idea. It'd be much, much cheaper. People who follow the channel understand that I once was a rich man. Now I am a very, 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 very poor man indeed. But luckily for me, I've got one or two friends, one of which is the one and only Nigel Big Guns. And as the name suggests, he's got a couple of bob. In fact, I think he's got quite a few hundreds of bobs sitting under his bed. And you never know. If I ever needed any help, I'm pretty sure that he would reach under his bed and help. But luckily, don't worry, Mr. Nigel, I'm not asking you to buy me a coffee today. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you, Nigel. And oh, so sweet. And of course, the one and only superstar, Miss Ellie. Forgive the roads, Caroline. Get a pillow and sit on it, because these potholes are not just from hell, they're from Mars. As you can see, pretty busy with the cars. There's a lot of cars parked up. There's a lot of people wandering around on the beach, and there's a lot of people, by the way, actually dipping in the water. Yes, you heard me correctly. Sean, dawn, yes, 21.5 degrees just before lunch on a beautiful, beautiful early part of January, if you understand me. Confusing my English even when Marika's not with me. She's always stealing my English. And again, if you're new to the channel, Marika speaks 7 languages, by the way. Yes, you heard me correctly, 7 languages fluently. And believe it or not, her English is her worst. Yes, even though it's better than mine and better than most fluent English speakers. And believe it or not, she actually does understand quite a few other languages as well, because Slav languages all mix, and she can understand and converse in Bulgarian quite well as well, and Hungarian and so forth. Anyway, very, very clever lady indeed. She's actually a fully qualified professor of Russian, by the way, and I use those words correctly just so you understand. When she did her education, they have what you call higher diplomas, and then went off to college, which we would call university, where she studied higher Russian. And in our terms, she would be a professor of Russian literature. So at the age of 27 years of age, she qualified to that level. So that's something perhaps you didn't know before. She's not just a monkey. She's very, very clever indeed. Far, far cleverer than I'll ever be, that's for sure. So perhaps we should refer to her as Professor Miss Ochin Gracivia LaBouffe. Now, talking about promotions, by the way, I don't know what's going on, but you know, some of our fellow family members are promoting other fellow family members. I mean, you've got Jeremy Payne, he's promoting the lady who is a dame, and now she's become Her Majesty. I mean, what's going on? That's my job. I'm the one that promotes people. So, you know, I'm sorry, Jeremy, you're now just going to become a Jeremy, not a Mr. I'm going to demote you. And of course, we've got Simon the Elder. There we are. These are Double Trouble. If you're new to the channel and don't know who I'm talking about, we are a channel that likes to talk about our family members, and we like to have a bit of a joke. It's like Dawn, you know, and her husband sitting next to her, Sean. See, I've put you the other way around now. You've got Miss Dawn and Mr. Sean. They like to watch us while they're having their breakfast, and they like to have a wiggle and waggle with us. And they probably are shouting at the screen saying, shut up and get on with it. And where's the beautiful one? Well, she's in downtown Tbilisi, as I told you. But don't worry, the LaBouffes, that's the elder LaBouffe and the baby LaBouffe, Miss Ella, will be joining us in around about a week to 10 days. And they'll be back with a very, very big hello, that's for sure. Now, I'm not naming all the hotels, because if you follow the channel, most of you know them by now. So as we approach the promenade area, should we say, or the descent to the promenade, we'll start to mention some of the bits and bobs that are going on, and I'm sure you are digesting the spectacality of the view and the area. Quite a few people walking around, and a lot of the tourists are in shorts and t-shirts because, yeah, it's very, very hot indeed at 21.5 degrees. So Dawn, Sean, enjoy your breakfast. Dave, Jono, no wind whatsoever today, but we understand that the wind's coming soon because normally February can be a little bit breezy and a little bit windy. And if you don't believe us, go hunting back through our back catalogue. We kicked off on the 7th of February last year. See how time goes, doesn't it? Time goes very, very fast. I'll be in a box soon, and I understand many people will be very, very happy about that. Hopefully not. Anyway, the Ampura, I think is how you pronounce it, amphitheatre in English, resort is there to our left. And of course it's a beachfront resort. You walk out the back door straight onto the coastal pathway, bit of a descent, and then you get to the beautiful blue Mediterranean Sea. Anesthesia beach bar over there, and what we call the snake when we climb up to give you a spectacular view. And this is the Amavi luxury 5-star hotel. Got some superstars in there celebrating birthdays. Mr. Joe, his beautiful wife Julie, and their sister Kathy had a birthday about 4 or 5 days ago now, and Mr. Colin, her partner in crime, had his birthday, I think it was on New Year's Day, which is the same as Marika's mum, by the way. Hope, you know, we often talk about Marika and how she's suffering with the loss of her father, but of course catastrophic for her mother, although in latter years she had become his carer, if you understand. So I don't mean this in a bad way when I say it, but perhaps it's a godsend for her, although she will miss him very, very much, obviously, because they've been together a long, long time. But it could be her time now. Her sister has come up from Lower Georgia, and she's going to spend a couple of months with her. We've invited her to come there, and perhaps Hope, who is Marika's mum, will, we call her Dada, which is mum in Georgian. So Hope is her name. Hopefully she is going to go down with Nellie, that's her sister, after a couple of months and go and chill out in Lower Georgia, beautiful countryside area. And Nellie's got a house, well, it's huge. It's absolutely massive, this house that she lives in. Some of it's a bit run down, if you understand me. This is Georgia, but the house is around about 350 square metres, which is a big house by anyone's standards. Well, unless you're a multimillionaire, obviously. But by most people's standards, most people would live in a house of around about 200, 250. She lives in a house that's 350. She can barely afford to heat it, if you understand me, even though the heating bills in Georgia are quite cheap. Now, on that note about prices of things, you know, if you're curious to know about things in Cyprus and how much they cost, my electricity bill, we're always complaining about electricity bills, my summer electricity bill in our humble little house, we have 2 air conditioning units running in the night time to keep us cool because it's too hot. Are you listening, Dawn, Sean? It's very, very hot indeed. So we have to have the aircon on pretty much all night. Well, I have it on even now, by the way. But our electricity bill is around about 600 euros for 2 months, so about 300 euros a month. It's dropped down now to about 150 a month, and it'll stay at that level probably through January, February, March, April, and then of course the aircon will be ramped up, and up will go the bill. But hey, that's it. There's not a lot you can do about it. And then if you want to wonder how much it is for our internet telephone bill, that's, well, it fluctuates. I don't really understand myself, but 1 month it's one price and 1 month it's another price. But it goes around about 40 euros. That's how much it is. Water bill comes out every 2 months in Cyprus, around about 30 to 40 euros for 2 months at the moment. In the summer period goes up to around about 100 euros, not because we're clean people, but because we have to swim in the swimming pool, and of course rocket science says that the water evaporates, so that means you've got to put more water in, so that's why that bill goes up. Let's go for a wiggle and waggle up this way and take you to parts perhaps that you've not seen before. We've got people who have stayed in the Sofiana Hotel and Spa. and that's going to come up just up here. That's the Grazie restaurant. We used to call it the Crazy, but Miss Mackie corrected us and told us it's the Grazie, which, yeah, it is, but we'll call it the Grazie. There we go. We like to rename everything. You've got the, I don't know, I can't even say that hotel, but Phil Smoker and his wife stayed there. And there's the Sofiana Resort and Spa, if you're wondering where it is. And if you're wondering where Bar Street is, well, stick with us, because we're going to go along this here for a little bit, and now we're going to take a right. And this is not technically Bar Street, but I think you may have noticed there's one or two restaurants and bars on it. As we go along, you've got the Gapuri restaurant, I think that's how you say it. You've got the Friends bar, very, very popular bar on the left hand side there. You've got the Baywatch bar on our right hand side. Yeah, Baywatch, not Babewatch. Although there's plenty of babes walking around in the summer, aren't there, Dave? Dave John is waiting for one now. There we go. Now we're on Bar Street. This is officially Bar Street. And of course you can't actually see it in the summertime because it's closed off, because of course pedestrians, there's a lot of them on here in the summer, alcohol and cars just don't mix. Flyers Bar, Sally Briars, Matt Dyers, there you go, that's your favourite bar. That's the Notorious bar there, and that's the extension being built next to it. And now we come down to the rundown area, shall we say. Although most of it's been bought and most of it is slowly but surely getting the permissions, the licenses and the planning permissions to sort itself out. These buildings here on the right apparently going to be turned into upmarket restaurants, bistro and luxury apartments above. You've got Penthouse Rentals there on the left hand side if you want to rent a car or a bike or something like that. You've got the Keg and Barrel, that's where Gentleman Jim hangs out with Miss Tammy, his daughter, and that's where we often meet a man called Mr. Brian and of course Mr. John. So if you're watching, a big, big hello and a very, very happy new year to you guys. There's Memories Bar over there, very popular with the cats, they look after the cats. And then that, of course, is T&J's Fish and Chips. Baru's in there, possibly the greatest fish and chip shop in the world, but definitely in downtown Kato Paphos and probably in Paphos. There we are, back onto the final leg of the Hotels Avenue. And the final hotel on it is the Annabelle over there. You've got the Nest Cafe. You've got what used to be a sushi bar, that's closed down. You've got a beauty spa here. You've got the Why Not Sports Bar, does a good breakfast and a nice piece of pizza. You've got Maria's shop if you want to buy some gifts. You pop in there, they've got some quite nice upmarket handmade jewellery. You've got Mavrios Diamonds, so that's closed as usual. Pamela's Diamonds closed as usual, so don't worry. If you're in a hotel with your wife worried, it's closed. So get a running and get down here. Treat your wife to a Coffee Island coffee at €2.50 or thereabouts. A bit more expensive than Starbucks, or if you really want to push it out, go to the Costa Coffee there, where you can be robbed of €3.75 for a nice hot latte. But it's nice and quiet in there, so you pay that little bit extra and you get that little bit of quietness, that little bit of peace and quiet, and you can relax and chill out and chat with your friends, chat with your wife, discuss the cost of diamonds that you're not going to buy for her unless your name is Nigel. And of course if your name's Nigel, I'm pretty sure on the sofa over there on the pillow, because she's waiting for the potholes, she's flicking through the Miss Cooler's Diamonds catalogue. But don't worry, Nigel's flicking through the Breitling's catalogue, and sitting on his shoulder are Double Trouble, and they're choosing the one they would like as well. Jeremy and Simon, Happy New Year to you. Pretty busy in downtown Kato Paphos, because it is that time of year. People are not working. Even Mr. Paul's not working. He's decided to have a few days off because, well, as you understand, I've got a few other things they've got to sort out, and a few banks to rob and a few bills to pay. But luckily I had a look under the bed and I found another extra Uncle Bob, and I twisted his arm and got a few more thousand out of him just to pay for that little extra bill that popped its head up on, well, New Year's Day, to be honest. But it's only money. It's gone now. So I'm bankrupt. Completely and utterly bankrupt. So I'm thinking about phoning my Gumbaru, Mr. Ben from Bald and Bankrupt, because we understand that he has got more and a few bobs under his bed. And you never know, he might send me, I don't know, 1,000 coffees. You never know. I'm only joking, by the way. Now, there's one of the escapeways there down to the blue Mediterranean Sea, as you can see. A lot of refurbishments going on, by the way. They're removing all the steel poles which, should we say, were supposed to keep the pedestrians from the thoroughway where the cars were, but they've now decided in their great wisdom to make it a pedestrianised area, which is clever, because people who don't know where they are as they're wandering around looking out to the blue Mediterranean Sea and the sun and chatting with their family and friends and their children running around, and then cars, does not mix, especially when you add in a bit of alcohol at night. So, in the great wisdom, the great Gumbaru #1 in his office has decided to continue to park on double yellow lines outside his office, because he's the mayor, so he's allowed to do that. But he's decided to close down the promenade to cars except for deliveries. And I think it's lost in the translation, but early in the morning and late at night. So I presume that means, you know, open from 5 o'clock in the morning until, let's say, 9 o'clock in the morning, and then close down and only pedestrianised area. Some things, when things are translated, they get lost. I understand this when I'm talking with Marika, because a little story I've got for you. Once I got a customer, and he's a man with 2 wives. I've told a few people this story, and his mother is a good-looking lady, and she's a young-looking lady, so I call him the man with 2 wives, if you understand. And I don't mean that as an insult to his wife. She's good-looking and young as well. But we were once having a conversation, and after a while, the wife said to me, she said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yeah, of course you can." And she said, "You know, something's not quite right." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She goes, "Something not quite right with you." I said, "No, that's what my father used to say. There's a lot not quite right with me." But anyway, get to the point. And she said, "When you talk about your wife, you talk about her in a strange way." And I said, "No, what it is." There's Maria again having a cigarette on her trikes, if you want to rent one. She was waving at me, so I waved to her. Sorry to interrupt my train of thought. Anyway, she said, "There's something not quite right." And I said, "Well, what you mean is she's not English." "Ah," she said. So to make it very, very simple, I always say my wife's Russian, because when you say Armenian, no one knows what that is. So it was a former part of the former Soviet Union many, many, many years ago, and that's why she speaks Russian. Anyway, she then said to me, this lady, the wife, "You must have some very interesting conversations." And I said, "We do. We have some wonderful conversations. In fact, most nights I go home and we're sitting around chatting away, and after about 15 to 20 minutes, we understand that we're not even having the same conversation." At which point this lady literally, and I mean literally, fell over laughing, and her husband and I caught her, because if we did not, she would have fallen off the balcony, and the balcony was 3 stories high, because they live in a split level house. We were not in the bedroom, we were in the lounge. Anyway, that's one of my funny stories, and I'll remember it to the day I die. And then a few weeks after that, we were in the TJ's fish and chip shop, and we bumped into these people again, and we all had fish and chips together, and the lady proceeded to tell Marika the same story, because she thought it was absolutely hilarious. You've probably found it very, very boring. But anyway, if you look there, you can see there are some men rearranging cobbles and taking out poles and doing all sorts of bits and bobs, and big changes afoot. As they come on, I'll dismount and I'll take you with me, and I'll show you some of those changes, and hopefully they'll be for the good of Paphos. I think pedestrianising that main part, we mentioned it all last year, it should have been done many, many years ago, because people wandering around, cars, alcohol, fun and games don't normally mix that well. Anyway, I'm going to say thanks for watching. If you like what you see, hit the like, please click subscribe, and come back for a little bit more of, well, my insanity. When Marika comes back, it'll become just mad, that's for sure. I'll let the video continue and let you digest the beauty of this 2-toned rear bumper on this Ford Fiesta. Why he's painted that lower half in a funny shade of green, I just don't know, but there you go. Perhaps I've got no taste. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.